What is up, Fanatics? It's 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means another episode of Home Theater Fanatics Live. Tonight is episode 144, and we've got another banger for you tonight. I'm bringing in two of my buddies, and I love these guys because not only are they great dudes, but they make an amazing product set. And this is Rick and Theo from Acurus and Aragon. Now, you might be asking, who is this Theo I speak of? He also goes by Ted. So if you're confused, don't be confused. It's the same guy. Don't worry. You'll be okay, and you'll make it through. But they're going to join us on the show right now. Welcome, guys. How are you doing?
Giles, how you doing, man?
How you doing, Giles?
Awesome. So I think we clarified the name stuff, right? Because I asked before the show, I'm like, what do I do here? How do I do this? So Rick and Theo from Acurus and Aragon, welcome. So I think there might be one or two people that don't know you guys out there. So let's run through some quick introductions just so everybody kind of knows who they're talking to. And Rick, since you ended up on the top of the screen on my screen, so let's go with you first. So Rick, who are you and why should people care?
Well, I don't know why they should care, but I'll tell you who I am. I'm Rick Santiago. I'm the co-founder with that dude below there, Theo. And we started this company, Indie Audio Labs, owners of Acurus and Aragon. We started it back in 08-ish, and we did it because we really thought we had some cool ideas and some different ways to approach home theater products and processing and just entertainment experiences. So my background is, technically, I'm an electrical engineer, so the propeller head thing is going on. But as far as Indie Audio Labs and the company, I'm nominally the CEO, I guess. So whatever that means.
Right on, the big cheese.
Yeah, and I get to take out the trash and do all those other things.
Exactly.
Too, so.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it.
When I don't, he does it for weeks. I don't do it.
You
that's right.
Tag on and off,
which is very few.
Speaking of the trash taker outers, Theo, you're up, sir. Who are you?
Yeah,
why should people care?
Right. So I'm the other co-founder of Indie Audio Labs, and my background is actually I'm a physicist. So somehow I get along with the engineer. We worked that out early on, and no, it actually works out very well. We come at problems from two different directions, and that's a pretty good strength. So we pretty much do all of the product design. We'll map it out, whiteboard it, and all the way from concept to the final product that goes into someone's home. And so it's a good working relationship, and it's worked for many, many years. Put out some great products, and we got a lot more products coming.
Right. So one question, I'm going to put you guys on the spot now, and it has nothing to do with product, but I've always wondered how you guys first met, right? Because there's somehow you guys came together and said, let's start this company. And I these stories I always find very interesting, and I've heard everything from, we met on an elevator, or we were at a show, or we grew up together and went to high school. Or so how did you guys first meet and hatch the idea to work together to create these kinds of products? If you don't mind me digging into your personal history.
No, that's fine. We met at Klipsch.
Right on.
Rick, I came on a week before Rick, and I was brought on for sort of an unofficial job title, if you will. I kind of made up one.
Right on.
And they bought into it and hired me, And Rick came on as the he was sort of kind of like the advanced development leader. So he was my boss actually when we first landed there, and we worked on some pretty significant projects at Klipsch having to do with electronics that were having some trouble, and we got those sorted out. And there was some technology that was happening in the consumer space that we wanted to see end up in the audio world. We wanted to mix essentially network capability and audio technology together into one happy package and not compromise the audio, which in those days that was kind of happening. So that was the sort of the genesis for Indie Audio Labs, really.
Yeah, I remember. I think, Ted, the first time I talked to you, I was actually calling from my family room in my house in Wisconsin, which is where I'm from originally, and it was before I even moved our family down to Indianapolis to work for Klipsch, and I wanted to chat with this physicist that was going to be on our team, and we were both the new guys that were gonna go in and rattle some cages and
yeah, man, we did
shake it up a little bit. And I guess we did that. Yeah.
That's a cool story. No, that's awesome. And maybe a story from a different time, but I'm curious how a physicist gets hired by Klipsch. So not for today, but everybody out there, one day I will get to the bottom of that story. I want to take a couple of minutes. There are a lot of awesome people that have jumped into the crowd today, and I just want to say hi to everybody. Double A is with us. Paul M, and he fronts a bunch of different brands out there, is with us today. Good guy. Hi-Fi Haven, local Coloradian, I guess you'd say, is here with us. And then, whoops, things have moved on my screen. And then Acurus and Aragon are in the crowd as well. I mean, their friendly marketing director is watching. She's got her eye on you. Just saying.
She's making sure we toe the party line.
That's right. That's right. Gabe is with us. He's a local integrator here in Colorado. Really good guy. And I think he might be reselling for you guys now too. So he might be one of your local partners, fairly new to the game with you guys. Who else we got? We got MyMail is with us. I mean, it's just scrolling off the screen. Jim Spenderino is here. So lots of folks. So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us on the show. And if you've just jumped in, we've got Rick and Theo from Acurus and Aragon Indie Audio Labs with us, and we're going to talk about some cool stuff now. So you guys have introduced yourselves, and then maybe let's do 2 minutes on the two brands, Acurus and Aragon, what they are and why they're different and not under the same umbrella, just so people can get a feel for what you guys are putting out there for everybody.
Yeah. Historically, the Aragon brand was a high-end 2-channel brand originally back in the 80s. And it was the first sort of value high-end brand where it was going up against the likes of Krell and Levinson and some of the other ones that were very, very high performance, but of course the price tag went with that. Aragon basically tried to drive the value equation aggressively to say, okay, we can get this level of performance without compromising, and yet do some smart things in the design and the mechanics to bring the price tag down a little bit, to make it a little bit more affordable, more accessible. And so that was the original equation. And then that was about 1986 or so when those first came out. And then around the early 90s is when Acurus came out to sort of be even more of a step down, more accessible, like the say the NADs and the AdComs and those types of brands that emerged in the early 90s, made in America, that could compete with some of the Asian brands that were really getting a foothold at that time. So that was the genesis of the brands originally. Of course, when Ted and I took them over, we kind of rethought them, and Ted, maybe you can kind of explain sort of our new logic, if you will.
Right. So when we took the brands over, we had to really kind of go back and say, what was it about the brands that everyone liked? We want to keep that, right? And where we can improve it, we want to improve it. And then we wanted to add network connectivity, because we knew that, you got to remember, this is like 10, 12 years ago, something like that. I lose track. So that was kind of a new thing back then. It's old hat now. Everybody's got it. No big news. But, we put an embedded web server and an amplifier, the first product that we launched. Why would you do that? Turns out it's useful. You don't have to do a lot with it, but it's actually kind of useful to have some diagnostics and some other types of controls. But we also had to look a little deeper in some of the amplifier topology and actually re-establish the specification that we wanted for our power transistors, our bipolar power transistors, and so forth, and really update the the amplifier modules that really made Aragon and Acurus famous, and just bring those back, but then add a little extra on top of it in terms of performance, which we did. And the result is what you hear when people listen to our products. It's just this crystal clear power. It really brings out something in you when you listen to it. It's a little hard to describe unless you hear it with your ears, but live. But we're pretty proud of it. So Acurus is, these days how we kind of break them apart is Acurus is the sort of go-to install brand, primarily home cinema, personal cinema type products, and Aragon is that higher echelon 2-channel listening, very, very special experience, for that discerning customer who wants to really just get, washed over by their music or whatever they're listening to, and just have a very personal experience with that. And with, just a segue from that kind of goes into, one of our new products that we showed at CEDIA, which is the tungsten preamp that is in the Aragon line, that was shown with one of our titanium dual monoblock amplifiers, and just sounded fantastic. I mean, we got so many comments about that. Not only sounds great, it looks amazing. These are like 75-pound amplifiers, so they're, when they're in a room, they're in a room. So that kind of breaks out how we think of Aragon and Acurus as the two main brands of Indie Audio Labs, and how they treat the customer and the sort of the high-end residential market.
Yeah, so I definitely have to echo your comment on the sound quality of especially the Acurus gear, which I'm most familiar with. Everyone that I've ever had listen to the gear that I've got installed, and anyone that I've talked to that's heard it in other places, that's always the first comment. They're like, okay, here's a company that takes multi-channel and home theater, but treats it like audiophile sound, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's pretty awesome. Now I want to stay on the topic a little bit of Acurus, because you guys last year, or maybe close to the end of the year before that, released your aspect tool, and that's ASP EQT. When you spell it, you have to really emphasize the EQ, because that's what it is, right? So this is your own in-house developed auto EQ tool for your multi-channel processors for the Act 4 and the Muse, correct?
Yeah.
So and that came out, when was it, a year ago? Maybe?
Well, actually, so we announced it a while back. I mean, we announced it probably 2.5 years ago, something like that. It was at a CEDIA. Well, we missed one because of COVID, and it was probably 3 years ago now. But we actually released the first products. We had a long beta test because we had to get this into as many different theater environments and listening environments as we could. And we had a lot of firmware to develop. The initial, beta test stuff, basically said, hello world. Okay, did that work? Okay, great. Move on to beta 2.1, real simple stuff, baby steps, so to speak. So we finally launched the complete system early this year. So it actually hasn't been launched that long ago. But, if you've been paying at all attention to the world, we launched it in about end of March this year. And somewhere around April, all the microphones that we used went unavailable. So
fun. That's fun. That's awesome.
And as far as measurement mics go, we could do an episode about that. But, for better or for worse, there are not that many sources in the world for measurement mics, especially decent quality ones. And so it wasn't like we could just, pivot over to something else made by company XYZ. So we kind of had to take our launch and sort of reel it in just a little bit. So we kind of slowly got, units into the market, and we're still actually churning through some back orders from some initial orders that were placed, a year ago. And so it's, thank you, supply chain. We are getting through it. But yeah, to answer your question directly, we launched it this year, and we're pretty excited about it. And the folks that have run it, and have been able to go around and tune theaters that they've maybe installed Acurus gear in over the last year or two, and then now they can go back and they can retune it, bring it to a higher level of calibration. The remarks that we get are once again about the sound quality, raising it to another level. We get remarks about the simplicity of operation. We've taken, for anyone who's operated our equipment, the touch panel interface, which I would credit Ted quite a bit in terms of his concepts and his, how to make those things work simply, and how to not treat it like a typical audio piece of equipment, but rethink it. The concepts that we implemented in the equipment itself, we also then implemented in the UI for aspects. So when you know how to operate one, you're just operating in the same world. I don't want to use the A word for the ecosystem, or claim that we have a walled garden of Acurus, but it's that idea of uniformity that I think is very appealing, and creates some ease of use. So
right on. So I'm going to paint a picture for people that aren't familiar with the product. So, and I think it's really apropos that you talked about the microphones, because one thing that I dislike about most, what do you call room correction systems, or however you want to refer to them, but they don't change the room. They just change anyway. You have a microphone, you set it down, and then you move it, and then you move it again, and you move it again, and you move it again. It seems like the farther down you go in the ecosystem, the more times you have to move the microphone, right? So, if you're buying the $200 AVR, you have to move your microphone 3,000 times, before you can get any kind of
result. It has to sit 3 inches away from whatever surface that little stand allows it to sit on.
That's right. And the cord's always this.
Right.
But for your system, it comes with an array of 4 microphones, right? And I've not run through this setup before, but you set it one time and it just does everything, right?
Yeah. If you look at it, I can't remember, we've calculated the numbers, but if you had a 916 system, it's doing hundreds and hundreds of measurements with a go button press.
That's awesome.
Which is cool. And it's not just doing them in one spot, as you mentioned, because of the multi microphones. It's doing it in a whole area, and it's able to measure the response in a zone. And because it's doing it simultaneously, that means that there's actually information that can be obtained by comparing what the microphones in different positions are picking up at a given point in time. And that's something that you lose in other systems where you have to move the mic from point to point. So there's a lot of advantages in terms of speed, and in terms of efficiency, and then in terms of accuracy and what we can learn about the acoustics. So
that's outstanding. Yeah. Hopefully I'll be able to help bring out some more content about that. But everyone that I've talked to has been really, really pleased. And this will tune all channels, right? So this has got all your bed channels. This does all your heights and your subwoofer channels too, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah. And it does them individually because, obviously our processors have discrete subwoofer outputs with separate EQ capabilities. And so you have a 3-4 sub situation. You can basically set the EQ for 3 different patterns and 3 different groups of subs. So yeah.
Right on. Did you guys get a chance to use that in the KEF room, or was that all just manually tuned?
So
and if people don't know, the KEF room uses the Act 4, I believe, and it's awesome.
Yeah. The KEF room is an interesting story, and I think there's probably other guests that could speak to it a little bit more authoritatively. But talking to some of our friends at KEF, they actually have the only, to our knowledge, professional mastering studio tuning for a residential cinema. They actually brought in some calibrators that do mastering studios in Hollywood to actually calibrate that as a home theater environment. So as much as I love to brag that that's an aspect calibration, that was an arduous high level calibration that's very unique. So that's what kind of led to that really good sound.
So what I think is really cool, and for folks that don't know, this is kind of the flagship KEF demo room, right?
Mhm.
And KEF's a humongous company, and they could have any technology that they want. I mean, they could choose. I mean, they could have had like cinema Dolby Atmos processors from Dolby if they had wanted to put that in there. But what did they choose?
Yeah.
Acurus.
They're great.
This
That's
little
the one.
company from Indiana.
So I think that's pretty
Yeah.
sweet, and I think it's
Yeah.
very telling that they would choose, because their reputation is staked on sound, right?
Yeah.
And they can only play back what they're given,
Yeah.
so that they chose you guys to be the source, or
Yeah.
at least the path that the source material goes through, and
Right.
is the DAC and all that other kind of stuff. Pretty big deal. So
Yeah.
kudos there.
We're
Now I'm
certainly
going to throw
happy
up.
to get out of the way when it comes to reproducing sound.
I'm going to throw up a picture on the screen now, and let me see. There we go. And I want to just comment on this a little bit. And at the very top there, I see this thing called tungsten,
Mm.
and it's got a very striking look to it. It looks very modern. Of course, right underneath that, you've got iridium, which is super cool. But I think the story today is tungsten. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what that is, and what's going on there, what's special.
Sure.
I know it's got special sauce.
Mm-hmm.
It does. So tungsten is our Aragon 2-channel preamp. Okay, so that is sort of the piece that everybody has been waiting for, because we've had the iridium, which is our monoblock amp, and we had the titanium, which is our dual monoblock amp, for a number of years. So we've really been challenged. Hey, when are you going to come out with that 2-channel preamp? So we have a complete set. Well, that's what tungsten is. And so all of these products are obviously named after elements on the periodic table. That's some of my physics stuff coming in.
There you go.
On the side there. And they're part of what we call the element series. So this product is, we're really, really excited about it, because married with our amplifiers, it just really presents just a super unique experience. And it's got its own, as you see, it's got a UI as well, but it has its own design language, its own iconology that's been created just for Aragon. So it's not an Acurus display. It's got its own look and feel, because it's a different brand. It's a different sort of purpose for the product. So it's got to have a different look and feel when it comes to the UI and things like that. Rick, anything I miss on that so far?
No, that's good. I mean, just from experience, we put a lot of attention to detail in terms of keeping the signal path simple, but yet doing the job that you want to do in the modern era, which could either involve sort of the straight wire with a analog volume approach. It does that, but it also does a little bit more sophisticated approach in the case of some of the more sophisticated tower speakers that are available these days that have 2 or 3-way discrete crossover capability. So what's pretty unique about this thing is it's got up to a 3-way crossover built into it to drive maximum power in the frequency bands that you want into the specific drivers in a large format speaker. This of course has got its benefits from a sonics perspective and a power efficiency perspective, and that's something that we built in. We didn't see that in a lot of the competitive products in the market. In fact, very few have considered that, and yet that is a sort of the next step beyond sort of bi-wiring or bi-amping, if you will. The other thing that you'll see that's unusual, but we find very useful, is we do provide HDMI capabilities.
Yep.
There's a lot of devices that will do very good high resolution audio, DSD, other things like that on HDMI, and we felt that we would be remiss from not including that as one of the several digital formats that this preamp can decode. So this preamp actually has not only an analog mode, but it's got digital modes that decode digital input formats up to and including HDMI. And then, you know, for the general brand promises for both Aragon and Acurus that, you know, got us into this business in the first place, it is network connectable and controllable and so forth. So,
yeah. So I wanted to call out, I've got the back shown, and maybe people could follow along a bit, but you know, there are items on this preamp that just scream out to me, because this is how I want to be able to interface with my equipment, right?
yeah.
If you've got anybody out there that likes to do DIY mains, and you know, they want to get into like 2- and 3-way designs,
Yeah.
this is Mecca, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't know of I'm sure there is another product, but I can't think of another product that does what this does, especially when you look at it holistically. So, okay.
Yeah.
Here at the top, and I'm moving my mouse, but I don't think you see my mouse, but there's an RS-232 port, and then there are 12-volt triggers, and then Ethernet. So this means that you can control this with any modern control system out there, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So fully controllable. It's got all of your digital inputs. I see optical on the top left. I see analog inputs, including XLR. And then across the bottom, like lined up with the Aragon brand name, you have 3 sets of left and right XLR. I assume those are the outputs.
Correct.
And then you can do that as either just full range 2-way, or I didn't realize you could do 3-way though.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that is crazy bananas awesome.
Yeah.
No, I mean this is a game changer. I mean, when you want to tune, you know, a 3-way speaker, you've got a stereo set of speakers that are 3-way, that you want to have 6 channels of amplification for, and that's, you know, that's the cool high-end kind of thing, right?
Right.
This will do it all, and you don't have to go around and try and scrounge around and find external crossovers and all this other. You can just do it right here.
That's
and then
right.
pump this thing out to 6 iridium monoblocks would be the way that I would probably do it.
Yeah. But why would you do anything less?
I mean, if I were choosing, that's what I would do. I think that's
right.
the right way. But you could even like cross boundaries and go over to the Acurus line and grab an M8, right? And use the whole thing if you wanted to, right?
Sure.
Or 6 channels of it.
Yeah.
But you know, this is just outstanding. I mean, this is an extremely forward-looking piece of 2-channel technology. I mean, this is, from my point of view, hopefully you're not on the bleeding edge, but you're just right behind that into the edge, so that people can use it and not get cut. But I mean, this is like at the forefront of technology. I mean, it's outstanding. It's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think we're just right behind the bleeding edge. It's not, you know, it's just it's a preamp that kind of makes sense in today's modern world, and it's got all of the things that people really, you know, they might not think it's useful right now, but there will be, you know, uses for some of these inputs definitely coming
right
along.
on. Now, I assume it does eARC, right? From like if you got a television with apps in it. So I know a lot of people that have pretty high-end 2-channel environments, but they want to have a television in there too, right? And you know, the challenge is, okay, how do I pipe in the, you know, all the audio from all the apps that run on the television, because they don't want to go, you know, full like Act 4 or Amuse, that kind of thing. They want to have their 2-channel preamp, and this solves that problem, right? You just plug it in, and then when you want to fire up the television, you could play your TV sound through your $80,000 speakers.
And you can obviously, in that scenario, you could go with like, say, a sub or 2 subs along with some, two-way towers or something like that.
And that's the next thing that I was going to get into, because now you can discreetly send signal to a two-way set of towers if you have them, or just even stand mounts, and then add in subs as well. I mean, this is super duper exciting, because I run in my 2-channel environment right now. I've got my XLR outs, and then I've got this little external crossover thing, and it goes in there, and then I feel like it's adding too much noise to the system, and blah blah blah. And this this eliminates the extra components and all the cabling, and you've got your UI in here, and you can just set everything in one place. My assumption, and tell me if this is true or not, you can set the crossover via web GUI if you've got this thing IP enabled or on your IP network.
That's true. Yep, absolutely.
And so guys, you can take your iPhone or your Android device, point it toward this box, and on the fly adjust your crossover for your 3-way tower speakers. That is that not cool? Is that not the coolest thing ever in 2-channel? Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm probably talking about it too much, but I think this is just
you're doing a good job.
No, it's just bananas, because I don't think enough people have heard about this yet, right? And I when I heard about it at CD, and I was super sad that I wasn't able to see it in person, but when you hear about this product set of technology, I mean, the features that are in this thing, it's a game changer. I mean, it makes all of this technology so much more accessible to people than in the past, right? Because you can just do it in one box with the easy UI, and you don't have to run 10,000 cables. Now people can, buy a set of speakers that do require amplification for each channel, and not have to have some kind of cryptic device doing all the crossover work that they don't understand. They can just get into this box and tweak as much as they want to.
Right. Yeah, built-in loudspeaker management is definitely the key enabler for us. So
that's cool. And so any plans of a 2-channel aspect system for auto EQing 3-way 2-channel floor standers? Just
maybe
I'm putting in my product request right now, just so you know.
I think there's a high likelihood that could happen.
There's my product request. All right. So I want to touch on one more topic before we close this out, and this is the Aragon amplification. So I talked a little bit about that when I called out the Iridium, but you guys really have some high-end amplification that includes all these features, right, that are kind of forward-looking that you don't see in almost any other brand. I mean, it boggles my mind how people have missed this, but I'm glad that you guys haven't. Maybe you could just take a couple of minutes and kind of top to bottom talk through what products are available, because there continue to be more and more out there in that amplification portfolio, and I think maybe even features that I haven't even heard of yet.
Well, in terms of the Aragon line, obviously the Iridium, our monoblock, is sort of the top of the heap. That one is the reference for any high-end system that has the hardest speaker to drive. This is the one that you want to have an Iridium behind it, because it'll make it sing. It won't struggle to control its low end. There's a lot of speakers out there, particularly some of the planar speakers, that it's really hard to get control of the bass, and these things just are able to do it. The way we do it, honestly, is only a couple advancements away from the original way it was done in the 80s. I mean, because fundamentally, these are still high bias Class A/B amplifiers. They just take advantage of new, faster devices. They take advantage of surface mount technology, where surface mount technology does provide advantages in tight layouts for some of the very sensitive preamp circuits and so forth. They also take advantage of some of the other features that allow the product to run cool and to maintain temperature and to prevent fault conditions. We have so many fault protection capabilities in here that are non-invasive. In other words, they're not involved in the signal path, but they're monitoring the health of the power supply and the bias circuit, and monitoring the health of other things outside the signal path. And then those are all tied into microprocessors that can make intelligent decisions. So the technology in here for an amp that fundamentally is a 30, 40-year-old design is actually very modern, and it gives us some new capabilities there. And then that sort of trickles down into the titanium, which is the dual monoblock, and that is 2 channels in one box.
2 separate power supplies.
But very separate, separate power supplies. Formerly known as the 8008, it's been updated. It's got some improvements in those power supplies and some other software improvements. And this one is sort of our staple. If somebody wants to experience Aragon, this is sort of the entry point to get into what amplification from Aragon really is. So yeah, there's a lot under the hood for what seems to be something that looks kind of like the old ones, but there's actually a lot more new stuff going on inside that make it a more compelling and more reliable, and frankly, just a bit even better sounding product than the older ones were.
So I guess the most important question is, on the Iridium, can you get the notch on different sides so you can have a mirrored pair if you want to?
Yep. Check that box.
All right.
We have left hand and right hand.
Right. And now does the power button move as well? Or
Yep.
So it's completely mirrored. Okay.
Yeah, which drives some of our assemblers crazy when they're first getting used to it. They're like, "What?"
I bet. And then the Iridium, is that available only as monoblocks, or do you have a stereo version of that as well?
Well, the titanium, it would be the stereo version.
Okay.
Basically.
All right. Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's super exciting. I mean, could you imagine, seriously, a tungsten with 3 iridiums behind, or 6 rather iridiums behind it for a pair of 3-way floor standers? I just that's almost as crazy as wanting 16, well, what's 9, 6, 15 of them for a home theaters.
We've seen that before as well.
I bet you have, and I'm sure when those customers come around, you're like, yes, let's talk.
Absolutely.
Let's do this thing.
We can dedicate an assembly line to that order.
Right on. Cool. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. Your company is just absolutely outstanding. Everything you make is awesome. I love it to death. And for me, the best part is just the technology really pushes in the direction that I like to interact with my sound and my equipment with. So, it's I don't know, it calls to me, and I think there's probably a lot of other people out there that it calls to as well. And I can't wait to see what you guys have packed away in the back that you're working on in the secret lab. So that's super exciting.
We'll get back to work.
Right on.
Thanks for having us. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, Rick,
it's
Theo,
always a pleasure to be on, Giles. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, take care. And again, thank you so much.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Now, we're going to move on to the second section of the show. And, if that wasn't enough Indie Audio Labs for you, we've got more coming. And we're going to talk about some movies with a buddy of mine. Let me get this music queued up, because he deserves a little bit of a, oh my God, where's my music? I've lost it. Here we go. No, yes. Yes, this is a time where we sit down and talk about all the movies and content that we love to chat about. And today we've got a very, very, very special guest with us. And you might know him as Superman. You might know him as Batman. But I know him as the Peacock. That's right. We've got Joey with us. And let me click the button. And you're here. What's going on, Joey P?
Hey, man. Good evening, everybody.
Sorry for the outrageous introduction, but you are a superhero.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you are definitely a superhero. And what can I say? So, how are things?
It's good. I sometimes I miss the Godzilla introduction sound.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Here we go. Let me see if I can get it going.
There you go.
That's a whole different. Yeah. It could be something like today. Well, oh, you know what? Here, let me do this a little bit better. I've got some music that I didn't want to use for you, That might be good. How about this one? In a world where you need to talk about movies, there is only one. And the one is Joey P. Something like that.
We always need to be talking about movies.
We do. And let's get into it. I'm going to call out the most recent movie that I've seen in the theater, and that was Eternals. And man, right now the movie Marvel people, all the fans out there, they're going nuts about stuff, and I feel like it's a community divided, if that makes sense, because you've got people who love the Eternals and love Shang-Chi, and then you've got another set of Marvel fans that just despise this stuff. For me personally, I liked them both. Maybe I'm easy to please. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
I am hearing the exact same thing. I was with Mike, our buddy Mike, on Shang-Chi, but I finally watched it and I thought, this was not bad. The immersive sound on it was killer.
Absolutely.
But I was not disappointed with the movie. I have not seen Eternals yet. But the few of my friends who have gone to see it, they're in the camp of we didn't like it.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, the Eternals is kind of a different thing, and Marvel's kind of going through this phase now where they're introducing new characters, and this is kind of what they did at the very beginning when they had like Iron Man 1 and the Hulk and all this stuff, right? Before they got into this big epic Thanos kind of thing, right?
Right.
Gosh, I don't know. I'm enjoying them, and I'm looking forward to SpiderMan. And apparently, it broke the internet when people were trying to buy tickets.
I saw that today that it was shutting down servers, and I think I saw tickets for $24,000.
What?
I did. I saw a post that actually had the tickets for 20. I saw a news feed where they were going for 20,000, but I saw another post where they actually had it for 24,000 for tickets.
Gosh, I mean, what do you get for?
I don't know. I guess when they shut down the ability to purchase them online, that people were going crazy with it and thought, somebody would buy it. And I can't imagine anybody would do that, but who knows?
Hey, there's some people out there that got to have it when they got to have it, and more power to them. We still have to buy our tickets. We haven't bought any tickets yet. So it's funny for people that are shareholders in AMC. AMC was giving away a NFT, so a non-fungible, whatever the thing is, token or whatever, to the first 80,000 ticket purchasers, right? So I guess it was like some type of unique piece of art associated with the show, which I think probably drove some of the craziness.
In this NFT thing, I saw an interview the other day where they're trying to convince Quentin Tarantino to do the same thing for some stuff from Pulp Fiction, and I don't know if they convinced him or not, but he didn't understand the concept, and he was getting a lot of pushback from it. But this NFT stuff or the movie stuff is really, for some reason, gotten hot. So
yeah, I mean, it's it's an interesting concept. You take these NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, and you can have ownership of digital I don't know, artwork or digital assets or whatever it might be, which is kind of a whole different kind of there's never been anything like this before.
Right.
And there are people out there that are making money hand over fist, buying and selling these things right now. And it's I'm curious to see what happens in 5 years or 10 years down the line. So if you roll back, when Bitcoin first came out, and my tale of woe as I had several hundred Bitcoins, and I should have held on to them so that instead of having this show that I'm doing now, I could have just been calling you guys up like, bring me a tungsten and an blocks and put them in my room. But now I just get to talk about it. But the NFT crazy thing, it's kind of cool.
And speaking of Spider-Man, I also saw today, I think the news where Tom Holland, they signed him up for 3 additional Spider-Man movies.
Really? that is absolutely good news.
Yeah. So he's my favorite Spider-Man of any of them that's done it. Yeah.
Yeah, by far. And all the other two guys only made it 3 movies each, right?
Did one of them make it to 3?
I thought they both had trilogies, didn't they?
They might have. I thought one guy got booted after 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but so our new guy, he will, have his trilogy, then 3 more,
plus
and then he's been in Adventures and all the other movies. Yeah, he's killing it.
Yeah. Do you think that the people are having problems with these new Marvel movies because we just spent the last 12 years or whatever it's been growing with these characters all this time, and now these guys are gone and the new ones are showing up, and we're not bought. Look, I thought Iron Man 1 was great. I am not a fan of Iron Man 2 at all.
Oh, Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 were both not good. No, I agree.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed Iron Man 3. I saw it in 3D IMAX, and maybe that's what made the difference.
It might have been, but I personally was not a big fan of the second 2. I really liked the first one a lot.
The first one was the best, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But Gabe agrees with you on Andrew Garfield. He only got 2 movies. So 3 for Tobey Maguire.
Gabe, I'm glad you're here tonight. Good to see you, man.
Hey, isn't Gabe such a good dude?
He really is, and he is a dealer of ours. So he's a really good guy.
And he loves movies just as much as the rest of us. And one day he's actually going to come help me do some work on my house. But he keeps promising, but he's so busy with real paying jobs that he has to keep pushing me aside. I understand how it is, man. I get it. Whatever. So outside of the Marvel stuff, is there anything out there that you've watched recently, television or movies, that you thought was pretty outstanding?
Finch debuted on Apple TV.
Saw it, Tom Hanks.
2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, I liked it. I think it was I think somebody that's not into sci-fi would think it's kind of slow, and the story was, but I really enjoyed it. He did Greyhound strictly for Apple TV before that, and I'm a World War II fanatic, and I thought that was brilliant. But I enjoyed Finch. So I have a question for your audience here. I'm interested in if you've seen the Beatles get back, and if you have, thumbs up, thumbs down, what you thought about that. Have you watched it yet?
I haven't. I don't know anything about it, actually. I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned it earlier today.
Yeah. So it's a great story. So the Beatles broke up right after they got together and made what was going to be a film that really never got put out. And they were going to do this live concert in front of people. There's supposed to be this TV show, but they brought in a film crew to document them making the Let It Be album. Okay. And there's just a ton of, I think there was like 60 hours of video. It took them 22 days to create all this crazy music, all these songs that they created for this last album. And so there's like 60 hours of video that they took, and 100+ hours of audio that they captured. In it, they keep saying, look, this is costing you 2 shillings a foot for this, the tape. Right. And, John Lennon kept saying, they kept saying, do you want us to erase and record over this one? And he kept telling them, look, no, save it, just get another one. So that was great that they did that. I think Paul McCartney was actually the guy who came up with the idea and brought the film crew in. But anyway, so this thing was made in 1969, and it was the last time they were together. The performance that they did at the end of this, on the 22nd day, was their last public appearance together. I think a lot of people watched this, and this is why I'm interested in if anybody in the audience has watched it and they liked it or not liked it. I knew going in it was about their last gig together and creating the Let It Be album. But I think some people went into this thinking maybe it was a documentary about the Beatles, and it's not that. So the cool thing about it is they had all this film that's been sitting around for the last 52 years. It was filmed on 16 millimeter. So it was, when it was originally filmed, it was 16 millimeter to start with, and then over the years it's just really grainy and messed up. So Peter Jackson, who gave us the Lord of the Rings and the King Kong series and stuff, he did this World War II movie where he took all this 100-plus-year-old video and made it look just beautiful. He created this technology that, because this was back in hand crank video days, right?
Right.
So maybe I hand crank it 30 frames per second, or maybe I hand crank it 10 frames per second, and then we watch film in 24 frames a second. And he created technology that took that screwed up hand crank feet per second and made it 24, even if it took a computer taking this frame and this frame and having to figure out what this frame should be. So
that's outstanding. Wow.
It is. So what he did is he took this same technology and used it to take that Beatles footage. I'm telling you, it looks like it was filmed yesterday. No pun intended with the song, yes. But the video is so stinking clear. And in places where there's the video of them talking, but it's audio that he wants to use, he made it like such a seamless transition because of the way he would cut to people's heads, or maybe Paul's talking and Linda's standing in the way of his mouth and stuff. So it just seems like there's this conversation. I think there was, and somebody can correct me on this, but I think they took that video, the film that was made, and cut it and put a version of it out that made it look like they were all fighting the whole time, and that's why they broke up. But in this version, they do have a couple of we've been together so long since because they've been together since they were 13 and 14 and 15, George and John and Paul. And so it's like couples that have been together that long having conversations that sometimes aren't they're coarse in their conversations, but overall it's just a great film. It's 3 nights, so it's like almost 8 hours. They cut it up into parts 1, 2, and 3 because it was so much he tried to condense into telling the story. And when you watch it in the end, when they do that last and in the last part 3, what they start doing is when they're practicing and singing a song or something like that, or they're in that concert thing that they did, open air concert that they did. But what Peter Jackson did was really cool. He would say, this is the cut that's on the Let It Be album.
Okay.
So it goes from, look, it's them talking about some of their greatest songs, Let It Be, Get Back, a bunch of their songs. I mean, it's on Disney. It's streaming on Disney, right? Yep. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so Dune is gone from HBO, so go to Disney and watch it. The first ones, they're kind of long, so you're sitting there thinking, God, this is never going to get over. But they're like 2 hours and 40 something minutes, 2 hours and 50 minutes, and the final one's like maybe 2 hours and 11 minutes or something like that. So.
Yeah, I'm not seeing many comments from anybody that's seen it before, so I think this is a good find for everybody to go check out, because I had not heard of it at all.
If you're a music fan, Beatles influenced that 1960s generation, and it is a good reflection. And when you watch it, I will add this. One of the things is when you watch it and they're in there practicing and getting these songs together, there's a lot of cutting up. And I was thinking it would be hard to sit in this with all of this, let's get down to business and make this work. Because we only have a short, they only had 2 weeks, I think 14 days originally to do it. And some stuff fell apart, so they added an extra week in it. But how Peter Jackson does, I mean, he goes day by day. He's got like a calendar that pops up.
Oh, wow.
And he zooms in, this is the first day, and then it goes to the video. And then when they end that day, it comes back to the calendar and it X's that day out, and it kind of backs up and then goes into the next day. So you see this event happening over the course of these 20-something days. So it's just, I really enjoyed it. But you can't go in and think it's the history of the Beatles. It's a history of their final album and how it got made. So
That's super cool. I feel like we're living in, I've said this before, just in a golden age of content, because there is just so much outstanding material. Whatever you're into, whatever you like, you're going to be able to find stuff nowadays that's just crazy good. I was looking at Apple TV just before the show today. I was trying to figure out some stuff I wanted to watch, and Apple TV, which who would have thought that Apple would have started a television station kind of thing, right? But they've got so many originals. So they just did Foundation, which I thought was spectacular. They've got a show called The Morning Show, and I watched all of that. I thought that was outstanding. You called out Finch, right? And they're doing a lot of stuff with Tom Hanks, and that's all outstanding. They have
and Invasion. I've just started watching it, and so far I like it.
So I haven't watched that one yet, so it's on my list. So I want to check that one out. They've got Jason Momoa with C, which is a crazy kind of thing. Ted Lasso
is the best show on TV, bar none. Yes, the writing in that is brilliant. It is. I don't know when the next season starts, but I am in high anticipation of it.
If they let that go without doing a whole bunch of seasons, I'm going to go and I'm going to have some stern words for somebody.
The writing is whoever they got 20 Emmys or something like that recently.
It was insane. Like and I just wonder if it calls to people of a certain age though. So the Ted Lasso character, he always throws out all this stuff from when he was young, the music and the movies and the culture and all this stuff. And like my boys, they're 12 and 10. They don't get it at all. They're like, who did let the dogs out, Dad? Kind of thing, right? Why did they let them out? You shouldn't let your dogs out, not on the leash, And I'm like, no, son, that's the song. They're like, oh. But and he'll say something, and I won't know what it is sometimes, but I'll know that it's a call out to something, and I have to go find it.
Yeah.
So there's so many dude, it's brilliant.
It is. It's full of all the characters are so good and so strong.
Yeah. It's so good. And man, just the whole thing for the character that's from Nigeria, is it? I can't remember. And then he's got the guy that comes up that wants to bring him back home to play and all that stuff. And it's just so good. It's just all
Yeah. Because you never knew which way that was going to wind up going. So how they handle all the situations, because you think it's going to happen one way and then it goes the other way, and you're like, that was the best way it could have gone. That is so good.
Yeah. And then the psychiatrist that they brought in for the team, that's something I would never have guessed. I would not have thought that would be some type of plot device that they would bring into the show, but it's awesome. And then it made me cry when I heard, his story, and oh God.
The Christmas episode that they did was so good. It was like a roller coaster of emotions through it.
Yeah, it's really good. Now, one thing I do want to call out on Apple TV that people might not know about is Mariah's Christmas, The Magic Continues.
I haven't seen that.
And it premieres on Friday. And I've got to watch this thing because I was a big Mariah Carey fan back in the day, a long time ago, And you'll hear her Christmas song probably 2,000 times over the Christmas season. So I gotta see if Mariah Carey still got it going on or not.
I'm telling you, what was that one song that she hit like 7 octaves at the end of it? I mean, it was.
Oh, dude, that's like any song she wanted to. She could do all the whistle tones, which is just ridiculous.
It's interesting that we were just talking about the Beatles and we're talking about Apple now, because, the Beatles created the Apple Corporation, which was their brand at the end.
Really?
And it's funny because you see they talk about it and they carry you to that studio. That's where they finished making the album at, because they didn't like where they started. So because they kept mentioning Apple, what do you think Apple, blah, blah, blah. And I keep, in my head, I'm thinking, Apple. Right, my Apple TV streamer down there, but and the phones and stuff. But no, because I'm thinking, golly, that's weird. And if you go, you can go on and do a search for Apple Corporation, and it takes you to their stuff. And there's a lot of history on that website.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know. I've got to watch these movies now, and find out about this last record, because I know who the Beatles are and what their music is, but I don't really know a lot about them.
I'll give Qobuz a shout out here. You can go on Qobuz, and there's the Let It Be album, and there's is it 5 CDs, and it goes. You see them go through all these songs while making this documentary, and because you're thinking, good grief, I like the Beatles, but that was a horrible song. And then so I went through the album listening to it, and I'm like, yep, I'm skipping this.
That's a dud. That's a dud. They can't all be great.
Yeah, even the wife said, they made great songs, but they made some bad ones too.
Well, if you can't make a good one if you don't make a stinker. You know what I mean?
They had to, yeah. So the Let It Be album is a work of art, but boy, there's a few stinkers there.
Awesome. All right, I think we're gonna wind this one down a little bit today. So go into cleanup mode now. So a couple things I want to call out for everybody. December 14th, that's the big giveaway, and a bunch of brands are participating. Link will be down below. I don't think I've got it down there yet for this episode, but I'll make sure it's down there. Acurus is going to be participating. I think you guys are giving away a t-shirt and a copy of Dune, which is really awesome. That's super cool. And I think it could be, 4K or a digital download, whatever people want, right? So they'll figure that out with them. But we've got everything from passes to Xpona to $4,000 subwoofers to a DIY subwoofer kit to KEF Q150 speakers to headphones. We got Hi-Fi Man headphones, all kinds of stuff. So it's really, really exciting. And so I'm looking forward to that. December 14th, mark it on your calendar. Go sign up. I dropped a video.
That's coming
today.
up quick too.
Oh yeah, it's only 2 weeks away. I dropped a video today for the Perlison D15S subwoofer, and that's the one that I'm going to be giving away. So the one that I tested is the one that's it's one of their demo models that's made the circuit a little bit, and they're all like, "Yeah, give it away. It's cool. When you're done, just give it to your viewers." And I'm like,
but what a stud subwoofer that is! I was blown away. I watched it today. I think 6 minutes after you put it out, and the range and the low in it, I think it's unbelievable.
Dude, yeah, and I tested it up to 105 decibels at 10 hertz at 9 feet away at the main MLP, main listening position, and it had more in the tank. I think there was a little bit of compression in there, so it might have had another 6, 8, 10 decibels at most, which would take it up to 115 at 10 hertz.
That's when you got to start treating your house like a cruise ship. You got to start Velcroing all your stuff down, so it's not sliding off.
Well, that's why I don't like to really push it past like 105 decibels down there, because, dude, it sounds like the screws are coming out of the drywall and stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is.
But everybody, make sure you sign up for that. There's a gleam.io. You've got to sign up for some of the prizes. Well, you need to sign up for all of them. Some of the prizes you need to be on the live stream to win, because we're going to call out a name, and not for a lot, because it takes a long time for that process to go through. But we'll look and see if you're there or not. If you're not there, you can't win. So make sure you show up. There may be 250 people signed up right now, so odds are still pretty darn good that you could win. The 1 in 250 is not bad to win $5,000 at all. So take advantage while you can. I'm not sure what my next video is going to be. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've done like a lot of home renovation stuff.
I have been seeing that.
That gets like almost no views, but that's where I've had to spend my time. My wife told me I had no choice. So instead of spending time making other kind of videos, I've been doing work on the house. So I just filmed it anyway. Whatever, just pull out the iPhone and just put it up. But like the next thing, I just got in the mail a new Ring doorbell.
I'm interested in this one. Is it wired or is it wireless?
It's the wired one. So if you have a doorbell already, it probably has wires run to it. So it just uses those wires to carry power back from that little, I don't know what they call it, the chime on the wall, I guess. So, and then it uses Wi-Fi, right, for all the network connectivity and that kind of stuff. So it uses Wi-Fi for the data, and then it uses the old wires for the actual power. And then it'll send, I don't know, the messaging for the chime to chime, I guess, or however that works. I don't know.
You can even have it tell, like I know it'll do Alexa, so I'm assuming it'll do the Google thing too, but you can have it make Alexa make a sound.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you can have it do all that stuff. And so I've got that. So that might be the next video because I've got to install it. So I might as well film it and talk about it. But I'm going to, try and be cool with it because I've got like the Alexa, I don't know, the little tiny screen. I forget what it's called, the Show. Maybe it's called the Echo Show. And then I've got a Samsung television that we just put up in the dining area that you can see from the kitchen. So my wife always wanted to be able to see who's at the door while she's in the kitchen. So the idea is to have this thing automatically pop up whoever's at the door, when they ring the doorbell on the screen that she can see from the kitchen. So we'll see. So that might be the next one. I don't know.
That'd be cool. I'll look forward to that.
Right on. Anything in Joey world that you want to call out for folks? Anything to tell your buddies out there that's coming up that you want them to know about? Putting you on the spot now. You're all like, man, I don't have any videos coming out. People have got to go watch your channel. I've been watching all your old videos.
On my Joey Peacock?
Yeah, your YouTube, build your business and your customer base and all that kind of stuff. And I'm all like, I'm gonna know how to do this. It's all out there, man.
Yeah. I've got several YouTube channels out there.
So that's the only one I know about is the how to sell channel. I didn't know that there's more out there.
Yeah.
Right on. So Joey obviously doesn't want to talk about it, but there are multiple.
No, well, I've got one that I just started building. It's called Home Theater Nirvana. So it's kind of new.
Nice. Awesome.
I built a video of the Han Home Theater, which was the AV Forum's Home Theater of the Decade. And that thing is just incredible. Keith Yates was the guy behind that. And I think the world of Keith. He is a acoustic genius as far as making these theaters. Yeah. And you should try to get him on your show. He does 3 levels of theaters, red was the middle and the white, and the top of the line is the black level, and the Han's the black level. And he's only built 11 black level theaters in the world.
Wow.
And the Han, the owner of the Han is allowed him to share the story of it. But that video's gotten a lot of views. And if
everybody go check Home Theater Nirvana, go subscribe, check it out.
If you want to see a Mac Daddy theater, and I've got, I just found a bunch of videos, pictures on the web, and I just made from start to finish, like it's almost like a time lapse build, but it's just pictures and I added some of the data on it. Like the room side is enormous. It's unbelievable.
It's got like 15 24-inch subs or something stupid in there. He's
got 12 24-inch subs behind the screen.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just behind the screen. Yeah.
Wow.
And so if you do go look and you see the subs, they're 24-inch there, and they're custom for Keith. They're called is it Uber subs? I think.
Yeah.
Because they'll go down to 3 hertz.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's an awesome theater. I will go find it, subscribe, and cheerlead for you a little bit. That's awesome. I want to see this.
Yeah, grab the link if you want to share the link. Grab the link for that the Han Theater, stick in the.
I'll put it down. I'll put it down in the notes so everybody can go check it out. Absolutely.
Yeah, in the description here if people want to go look at it. It's really impressive. It's like if you won the Mac Daddy Powerball lottery, Keith would be the guy to call and say, "I want to do something like this."
What is that? It's like a $5 million theater or something, though, right?
It's got a $80,000 projector, a $35,000 processor. The LCR speakers are $6,000 a piece. It's a 19-foot wide screen.
Yeah, well, beyond that, sure, that stuff is kind of pricey, but it's got like a separate air conditioning system right?
Just to circulate the air in that particular room.
And then you've got to think about the space, because the room is humongous, custom purpose built.
It's 16 feet tall. I can't remember the rest of the dimensions, but it's 16 feet tall. 3 rows of seats.
That's the way to do it, man.
It is.
One day when people really watch my videos a lot, and I make a lot of money from these videos, because it's gonna happen.
Yeah. If you look at the room, from the front row up is if you notice the walls and the flooring, and especially around, is all black. You know, Keith's theory was you need to sit here and the screen is the only thing that you see. So there's no reflections. It's like it's a black hole with the lights off, and then the screen comes on, and that's the only visual that you have in the room.
That's outstanding, and I agree. Yeah, I need to paint the walls in my theater and get them from dark gray to black. Just when all you see is that screen, it's a whole different world.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. Back in the day, I built myself a theater, and I wanted it so Art Deco-y because I was all into Theo Calamarakis' designs and stuff, and they were all Art Deco. So I did like red walls with gold inlaid stuff, and of course when you're watching the movie, there's so much reflection off the walls. It was bad. So,
here's the thing that I've got going on right now that I don't really have a solution for, but I've got really shiny tower speakers for my left and right, and they're pretty reflective. There's nothing I can do about that. I got what I got, you know.
Other than creating some type of sock to put on it, you know, that drapes a little over the front but covers the sides up, and they'll just have to be reflective. But they're so, you know, but they look so good. That was the thing with my little Art Deco theater, is people would come in, and, you know, we'd have friends and people come in, and it was just unbelievable, because I mean, I did Art Deco chairs, the whole 9 yards, and and it was just blown away. But, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, there's so much reflection off these walls. You know, I had a black ceiling and black carpet, custom carpet, and that wasn't bad, but the walls were. Yeah, but you know, somebody's new and is not into it, and they can't believe, oh my goodness, look how big the screen is, and there's sound all around me. How is this happening? So,
I hear you. Right on. Well, we're gonna call it. Thank you so much for coming on the show with me tonight.
Man, I love it. You know, I'm here every week, and I love all the folks that are always on here every week. You know, it's like we're a little family.
Oh, it's a great group of guys.
It is. It's awesome. such a great group, and you know, it's I don't know if they probably do this too, but it's such a great group that you notice when somebody didn't show up. You know, because you're in there thinking, hey, where's, you know, double A is always there.
Where's double A?
We're still rooting for that third A. And
one day.
Yeah, but high heaven, you know, and I know I'm mentioning some guys, but it's just a great group of folks, and it's always fun to be here.
Absolutely. So everybody go look for the links down below. Make sure to like and subscribe all of Joey's stuff. I'll make sure it's all down there so you can check it out. Joey is going to be on a show just after the beginning of the year. I guess it'll probably be was it February that we scheduled it? And it's going to be Joey and Brett Bjorkist from Kaleidoscape. So I'm really super excited about that, because, you know, I'm just enveloping myself in the technologies and companies that I love, because they've got great people too. And
Brett's such a great guy. I'm so looking forward to this.
Oh, dude, smart dude, good guy, is really talented, and you know,
he's just fun to talk to. Yeah, he's a movie fanatic too. So, you know, he's a good guy.
So looking forward to that. And so I guess we'll see you then. Everybody else out in the audience, as I say every week, I appreciate you. Time is precious. And thank you so much for spending it with me and everybody else. And with that, I guess we'll see you guys in the next stream.
Next time. Yeah.
Yeah. See you. Take care.